Can a book written thousands of years before telescopes, satellites, or modern physics actually get the universe right? It sounds impossible, but when you place ancient scripture next to modern science, something strange happens. Line after line, they start to agree. To get this video right, we had to go deep. I'm talking cross-referencing ancient texts with modern cosmology papers to find out what scientists and theologians actually agree on. No surface-level blog posts, just the actual facts. The deeper you go into this question, the crazier it gets. But I wanted to bring you the definitive answer. Stick around because this is worth the deep dive. For centuries, we've been told you have to pick a side, faith or science, scripture or fact. But look closely and a different story emerges. One where ancient words and modern discovery seem to be pointing in exactly the same direction. Here are 3 places where they meet. First, the very opening line of the Bible. In the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth. For most of human history, the dominant view, even among scientists, was that the universe was eternal, static, always there, no beginning required. Einstein himself resisted the alternative so strongly that he added a fudge factor to his own equations just to avoid it, later calling it the biggest blunder of his career. Then Edwin Hubble looked through a telescope and found galaxies racing away from us in every direction. The universe was expanding. Run the expansion backward and you arrive at a single moment when it all began, the Big Bang. Modern cosmology landed, almost reluctantly, on the same starting point Genesis stated on page 1. Second, look at Job, one of the oldest books ever written. He stretcheth out the north over the empty place, and hangeth the earth upon nothing. At the time, virtually every culture pictured the earth resting on something solid. Pillars, a cosmic ocean, the back of a giant turtle. Job describes it floating in empty space, suspended on nothing at all. That idea wouldn't be explainable for another 3,000 years, until Newton worked out gravity and we finally understood how a planet can hang in space without falling. Third, there's a quieter detail most people skip right past. Light appears on day 1 of creation, but the sun isn't created until day 4. For a long time, that read like a contradiction. But modern cosmology describes something similar. In the earliest universe, light and radiation filled space long before the first stars ever ignited. Light came first, light makers came later. And then there's Ecclesiastes, describing what sounds exactly like the water cycle. All the rivers run into the sea, yet the sea is not full. Unto the place from whence the rivers come, thither they return again. Evaporation, precipitation, rivers finding their way back to the sea, described accurately long before anyone had a word for hydrology. None of this settles every debate, and it isn't meant to. But it's worth sitting with the pattern. Across thousands of years, ancient text and modern instruments keep landing in the same place. Maybe they were never really enemies, just 2 different languages describing the same world. If this shifted how you see scripture, even a little, subscribe. There's more where this came from.